Continue from the previous example. We implement the linear search function. We pass in an array, the size of the array, and the value we are searching for. We're using a while loop to implement the function. Can you change the while loop to rewrite this function from a for loop? So we can see here, a lot of time we can exchange the while loop and the for loop. So if we want to write a while loop into a for loop, we need to know how many times we need to iterate through the loop. So that's why this example we can change from the while loop to the for loop. Because for the for loop, we also have the condition is index less than the size. And for the for loop initialization, the index equal to 0. As long as index less than the size, we will increment the size by 1 to do the next iteration. And also one thing is, in the while loop, we try to looking for if the index from the array value equal to the matching value. If we find that, we just need to return the index value. So on the other hand, right, this example actually we can rewrite that into a for loop. So one thing is we still need to have the index value. But here actually, while loop, we need a found flag to know should we continue to get into the while loop or not, or we break from the while loop. But when we write into the for loop, we can just break from the for loop with the index value. So that's why here, let's rewrite this function using a for loop. So I still have the function name is linear search. I still pass in the array with the size with the searching value. Then my return value is the location of the match value. And of course, the same thing. We need to be careful. If I didn't find the value, matching value, we need to return -1. So that's why we need to be careful on how should we work on that. So here, right, we think about our for loop. Our for loop index start from 0. Index less than the size. We increment the index. Right, so if the index location equal to the value, we find the value, right? Right, so we return index. So this one is if we find the matching value. But how about if we didn't find the matching value? So you will find if the array doesn't have the matching value we are looking for. So when I start from the index equal to 0, then index less than the size, so index plus plus, you will see no matter I start from index equal to 0 or until the size -1, I didn't find the value. On the other hand, this return inside the if statement will be never reach. So you can see here, when we return the index, only when we have the matching value is found. So if I never find the value, on the other hand, I will never come here if the match value not found. If so, you see, they never have a value to return. So that's why here in the for loop, I successfully to return the index value if the matching value is found. But I didn't process if the matching value is not found. So that's why here we need to add something after the for loop. So this one is the match value not found. So that's why you will see here, if the match value not found, you will see if I have a for loop, right? If I find the matching value from here, I will just return the index. But if I start from index equal to 0 until index less than the size, I never find the for loop. I never find the matching value in the for loop. So then I will finish the for loop. Right. So when we finish the for loop, if I can come to this point, that means the matching value not found. The for loop. So if I can come to this point, that means the matching value not found. The for loop terminated. If the for loop terminated, that means the value not found. I need to return -1. So that's why here, if you finish the for loop, that means your match not found. You just simply return -1. So that's how we will rewrite the linear search function from a while loop to the for loop. So either way is fine. Just make sure you understand how you work on that. So one thing is, sometimes when you have the for loop, because this one we have a return value. So that's why if we find the matching value, let's just return the index. Then when you return back, the function finish. But this situation is we find the searching value. If we didn't find the searching value, right, so that's why the for loop will finish. If the matched value is not found, we need to return -1 to let the main program know the matching value actually not found. Sometimes when we write the searching function, the linear search function, we always passing the array. We always passing the array size. We always pass the matching value. But return type, sometimes we have different return type. This example, the return type is integer because this function will return the location of the matching value. But sometimes when we do the linear search, I don't need to know the location. I only want to know, do I have this matching value or not? So that's why here I will show you another one. So this another one is, we still call the searching value. We still pass in the array with the size, with the matching value. And we will just, instead we return the integer. We return the bool. So when you return the bool, actually just mean, I want to searching for this value. Are they in this array or not? Just tell me, I find that, you find that or not. I don't need to know the location. So if I return true, that means this array contains this value. If I return false, that means this array not contain this value. And also here you can see I changed one more thing, right? From assignment 10 from last week, we told you if you want to pass in an array, you are not trying to modify the array. Actually, you need to pass by the constant reference. So that's why here, actually from earlier all our linear search, we should always pass in the constant reference. So actually, if you pass in by the constant reference, this one actually is more accurate. So that's why earlier, all the array, actually we should pass by the constant reference. But one thing is, earlier we tried to return the data type is int, because I want to know the location. But now, a lot of time, I don't really need to know the location. I just want to know, did you find this searching value or not? So that's why I want you to think about how you will implement this function. From earlier, our example, we show you can write a for loop. You can write a while loop. How you will do that. I really want you can pause the video and go back to see the two examples I show you. So modify from these two examples. Maybe start from the linear search within the for loop. So now from this function, if I want to return bool data type, how should you rewrite this function? If I want to using the while loop to find the match data, but I don't want the location, I only want the bool data type. You find the matching value or not. Can you rewrite this function? Return the data type is bool. So pause the video to see if you can do that before you're looking for the answer. So do you know how to implement this searching value function? Instead, return the int, but return the bool using the for loop. Right, because earlier our for loop, if we find that, we return the index. If we didn't find that, we return -1. Very good. If we change this one, we become the bool data type. I still have the same for loop. But you see here, if I find the value, I return, instead the index, I return true. If I didn't find that, I return false. So that's why here you will see the function for the bool data type return, we will rewrite like this. We still have a for loop. But this for loop, we start from index equal to 0, less than the size, increment index. I'm still looking for if the index location value equal to my searching value or not. If they match, right, I just return. Earlier I returned index, right? But now I just want to know I find the value or not. So that's why if I find that, I return true. On the other hand, if I finish this for loop, I didn't find the match value. Then after I finish this for loop, when I can come to this point, that means I didn't find the match value. So I return false. So that's another way you still using the similar implementation for your searching value function. But sometimes because we want to know differently, or sometimes we want to know you just find that or not to return the bool data type. So then you can just return true and false and using the for loop to implement that. On the other hand, can you implement this one similar, return the bool, but we're using the while loop? So right, how to implement that in a while loop? Continue from before how we're using the while loop to implement. You see at that time we still have the index. At that time we still have the font. But at that time I need to know the location. So I have the position. But now since I don't need to know the location, I just need to know, do you find it or not? So that's why here when we implement this one using a for loop, or using the while loop to implement, using this one is a for loop. So when we implement that in the while loop, okay, so then I don't need the index. Sorry, I don't need the position, but I still need my index. So my integer index equal to 0. So then I still need to have my bool result start from the for loop. So when we're using the while loop, right, so our condition is while the index less than the size, okay, and remember we need to do what, okay, and it's not found yet, so that's result still equal to false. I'm using the while loop condition. So the same thing, I still have the if statement, right? If the statement value equal to the number index, so then you will see here, I will set my result equal to true. And don't forget here, my while loop. I need to increment my index because that's the while loop. Okay, so here, if statement, if I find that, I set return equal to true. Otherwise, afterward, my index need to increment. So then afterward, when I finish this while loop, I just return the result. So that's how you will implement this return type is bool for the searching value function.